So, here is how you potentially can also land 6 interviews in 3 weeks without applying. All right, fam, we got to record this quick because Audrey is a girl on the go. So many calls this week. Wow.
So many
And
calls.
it's going to be a rapid fire podcast worthy of your attention because, as you could tell from the title, most likely, I'm going to be sharing this email that one of my career coaching besties, kind of mentor, Gaurav Valani, he is the founder of Career Sprout. I went to his free webinar. I was like, "Hey, buddy, can I be like creeping in the background on this last week?" And I learned so much from him. And then he comes out with this fire email yesterday, Sunday. And I was just at this little happy hour, couldn't stop reading it because I thought it was so interesting about how his client recently landed 6 interviews in 3 weeks and without applying at all. That should be the
The
subject.
dream. The
No
dream.
applications. And she is actually a repeat client. She already used his process before to land a great contract gig at Google. And then that 1 year term is up, and she's going for another, what's the role? Project manager job at another company that's going to be more long term. And by the way, like, contract gigs are really normal, especially at this point in history and how the economy's doing. Especially if you could land one at a huge company. Oh my gosh, take it. Because having Google on her resume forevermore is going to be really, really helpful. And I'm not surprised as to why she was getting such a high response rate. But I texted him about it. I was like, I got to give you a major shout out today because this was absolute fire. And I also encourage y'all, he is super, super generous. He wrote up pretty much all of this in a free book that's on his website, careersprout.com. So I think it's called The Feel Good Career. I read the whole thing, love it. It's pretty brief, but it spares no detail. So here is how you potentially can also land 6 interviews in 3 weeks without applying. First off, let me just say her background. I really appreciate that at the beginning of this email, he shares the context that she's coming from. So her title that she has is Senior Project Manager. She has 7.5 years of experience. 2.5 years, what she was a project coordinator at first for a digital media agency. So coordinator up to project manager at a slightly smaller agency. And she was at that for 3.5 years. And then she got the contract for 1 year as a digital project manager at Google. As you can imagine, they don't have the project manager. They have project managers at Google. And now that that's up, and by the way, her certifications, he mentioned she doesn't have a fancy MBA. She did get a bachelor's in communication from NYU. Um, and she does not have a PMP, which is pretty, like, considered to be best practice. Once you have 5 years of experience in project management, but she doesn't have a PMP, but she did get the Google PM certificate, which I think is free or low cost. I don't really know, but I feel like it's pretty accessible to go out and get. I know people who have done it. So that's the context. Here is the breakdown of how she used these 3 weeks. First, Monday. I love how he sets the stage. This is how I wanted to read this while I was like waiting for Kevin to go get a drink at this little happy hour. I was just like in Wimberley, this little hill country Texas town, an hour outside of Austin, at the river. And I was like, still, I want to spend my time reading this email right now. Probably also speaks to how I need to work on getting unplugged, but I'm not really bothered by it. Monday, May 12th. She updates her resume using data driven summary, which is kind of like a mini cover letter up at the top. Data driven, no fluff at all. She doesn't. He encourages not using even words like expert or like people driven or any fluffy words. Literally, just like senior project manager with 7.5 years experience accomplishing X for these kind of companies, and then highlighting 2 or 3 more like big big descriptors of the best of her experience. So data driven summary, and then in terms of the responsibilities, like those bullet points as well as accomplishments, she only includes relevant PM related data driven accomplishments. So she does that up like refresh. And the amazing thing is, once you really do an exceptional data driven resume once, then you're probably just, unless you're making a career pivot, adding like 2 to 6 more bullet points the next time. Well, probably more than two, depending on your tenure at your current job before going on to getting a next one. You're just doing a little top off. So she was able to do this quickly, but no worries if it takes you more time. And then how to determine if it's keyword optimized, by the way, he says, go to jobscan.co to get an understanding of what keywords you should add or remove given your target role. Only target one role. This is a big one. Only target one role. And by the way, we ran into this with a client recently. We helped him discern that he really wanted to go into supply chain management, and we thought that supply chain analyst was a good enough job title. But I have a feeling that many people are going to be able to relate to what I'm about to say. As he typed in supply chain analyst to LinkedIn to find jobs to apply to, he actually was finding that every job description was so different. And it was also pulling up a lot of job descriptions with titles that were not supply chain analyst. They were all super random, honestly, and it became overwhelming for him. And so he had to like really fret over reading every single one. And he was like, why are some of these actually like large data integration, like tech projects? Supply chain analyst means that you're actually like like a technical business analyst over a supply chain project. That's not what he was wanting to do. I told him, go through, like scroll through a bunch of them and capture all of the variations in titles, because demand planner, supply planning analyst, forecasting, procurement, all of those are specialties under supply chain. And you might find for your ideal role that you need to drill down to something more specific under that, because your initial title that you're thinking of might be too broad. So after guiding him to analyze the different job titles and figure out the common denominator of the job descriptions he liked the most and what titles those were associated with, we ended up finding out that demand planning, forecasting, and supply planning analyst are 3 big keywords, sometimes 3 different titles that all mean the same thing. That he could say, yeah, this is, quote, my one role. Supply chain analyst was way too random. Drill down a little bit. What he really meant by his dream job was planning analyst or forecasting or demand planner. So just a word for the wise on drilling down so you don't get too broad. So, by the way, he also says in terms of the length of your resume, if you have less than 5 years experience, keep it to 1 page. 5 to 10 years of experience, you could go to 2 pages. 15 or more years experience, keep it to 3 pages. You can go 3 pages, but no more. No more than 3 pages. And so let's go back to painting the timeline, because we said 6 interviews, 3 weeks. Tuesday, she goes to her LinkedIn. She's like, time to give this a little spiffy spiff. I have no idea if that's her personality, but she optimized her LinkedIn profile with an updated photo, a strong header, a data-driven, again, about section that I'm sure she was able to repurpose a lot from her resume. Again, port over those very relevant responsibilities and accomplishments for especially her new job that she just completed. And then Wednesday, here's a step that I think a lot of people miss. She uploaded that resume to relevant job boards. She wants to stay in tech, so she used built-in, well-found, Remotive, and ZipRecruiter. Remotive and ZipRecruiter are actually not tech focused. They're like general job boards. Remotive is remote only jobs, and Built In and Well Found, I'm fairly sure, are startup tech focused, albeit large. I think that they do have large, like VC funded startups. So, definition of startup is loose. It could be a pretty big company at that point. But these are boards just like Indeed, where you could actually upload your resume and let recruiters find you, which is pretty amazing. You might as well
Great.
get this passive. This is the most passive interview collection technique there is. We're not saying it's going to be the most gangbusters for you, because listen, it's competitive. But if you've built up a good bit of experience in your given field, and it looks like you're really ready for that next step, and you have a highly tailored resume for a very specific, largely in demand kind of job, then you may get reached out to. So you might as well just do that. Then the rest of week 1 and week 2, here's how she hit it. It is time to do proactive outreach. Proactive outreach. What? To who? Why? Why not just apply to perfectly good job postings? What's the problem with that? Here's the problem. This is very statistically proven that the average applicant has less than a 2% chance of getting an interview from a application online. However, you have something more like an 8% chance of getting an interview from directly reaching out to the hiring manager and the recruiter, and potentially some peers who might be willing to refer you if you kind of tip them off to the fact that, hey, if you want a referral bonus, help me out, which is serious because they could go to Hawaii on that thing. So they're probably
Mhm.
really happy to speak with you. And the thing is, you're 8% more likely to get an interview from proactively reaching out to these groups, but you should know that it's often a little bit ambiguous of who exactly the hiring manager is. If you go to the company page of the post that you're applying to on LinkedIn and then search people, search the talent function, or the, oh my gosh, what's that called? Team? Oh my gosh, Audrey, help. Department. Oh my gosh, sorry. I was like really losing it for a second. Department that your this potential job sits under, and there's going to be, if you look for people who have about 2, potentially 3 role titles ahead of you, potentially just one, like if you're going for like a senior accountant, you might go for reach out to the accounting manager and then the director as well. Depends on the industry. Try like 1 to 3 titles ahead of you. Just go ahead and reach out to 3 to 5 people that look like they're in that department and look like they might be in charge of the hiring process, because this is their team and you would be under them. And so it's 8% like when you hit the right person, but you are literally not going to know who exactly the right person is. And it's no harm, no foul, no big deal, perfectly fine to do a little bit of the spray and pray. That's why this is exactly what she did. She, going back to the email, she found roughly 25 senior project manager job openings. So she picked out, by the way, sorry, I have this email and I'm not letting you talk, Audrey. But you're there
That's
for the
okay.
critical moments, like when I forget something, like department. So she found 25 jobs that she'd like to, air quotes, apply to, but she did not. Here's what she did instead. She found the recruiters and hiring managers at each one. She did not apply to any of those jobs. She instead used the following outreach sequence. Shout out to this girl. What a boss. Step 1, sent out connection requests to 3 to 5 recruiters per company and 3 to 5 hiring managers per company. I already explained the hiring managers, but for recruiters, it's going to be quite clear that there's like head of talent. There's like, you're going to be able to tell there's a few layers of recruiters. You might as well reach out to Who do you think, Audrey? Like talent manager as well as just recruiters? Might as
Yeah,
well try head of talent. I doubt that they'll respond, but who do
I
you think is
think
most likely to respond in the talent side of the org?
I think it would be recruiters because they're likely working on some sort of KPI and
Mhm.
they are sourcing and trying to find people. So if you pop into their inbox or pop into their connection request, that could be really helpful for them and they're more inclined to push you
Yeah,
along.
exactly. And by the way, the message matters less than your LinkedIn profile.
Mm-hmm.
If your LinkedIn profile is full of credibility signals that you are already like an amazing candidate for the job, then you are much more likely to get a response. If you have not yet tailored your LinkedIn profile and beefed it up, pretty much don't expect a response, is what I'll say. That's why you need Audrey on your team because she writes beautiful LinkedIn profiles for all our people. Yeah, here just to prove it, here is the message that she used in the initial outreach. When I kept on reading this, being like, wait, was that a typo? But I know that Gaurav is really smart, and he probably did this very intentionally. It's kind of an awkwardly phrased message, just to show, honestly, that it wasn't the message that caused the huge influx of response in these interviews. It was that they looked okay, that's like looks like a sharp person in the profile picture. Their headline is it's very data driven, it's very relevant, it shows an accomplishment. That's right, even in the headline, don't just say project manager. Say project manager managing like a $5 million portfolio of SaaS, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Show something like that. And then uh, that will get them to look at your profile, and then that will get them to respond to your connection request. Trust me. So she says, glad to connect with you here, name. Like insert name. No comma, by the way, with the name. Glad to connect with you here. Can we chat with you about the project manager job at insert company name? Period, not a question mark. See, I'm just like, I bet she actually sent that. Because sometimes I think that those kind of, if you have a very, very impressive LinkedIn profile, those kind of messages are almost like status signals. I'm going to be honest. Like somebody I really, really, really admire reached out to me. This was such a shock. Reached out to me on LinkedIn last week. And this person was like abbreviating everything, not really perfect messages in our back and forth. And I was almost like, oh my gosh, do I look like a peasant because I'm doing like fully fledged, like English course certified, I would get
Making
an
it
A message.
perfect.
So I don't know where I stand on this. All of that was just observations. I personally would, use a comma and a question mark. Glad to connect with you here. Can we chat about? I just also love the can we chat with you about the
Yeah.
can I like who's we? Do you have an entourage? But also like go her, love it. So I would say something like glad to connect with you here. Can I chat with you about the project manager role at Google or whatever? Except she's probably not applying to Google. But anyway, don't expect. Here's some of Gaurav's notes. Don't expect this to work unless your LinkedIn is optimized. That's what I was saying. If you can't clearly and concisely state what you do, how you do it, what you've achieved, in a way that's relevant to them, no one is going to take the time to even try to figure it out because that's not their job. You're the one reaching out to them. You need to make it really, really clear. So, step two, after they connect back, then you could send them a fully fledged message. By the way, don't wait for them to actually like message back with a response. They might just accept your connection request and then it'll go ding, and you'll just have your connection request note in the message thread. You might not get a great, yeah. They I've noticed clients are like confused about that. They're like, I in the connection note, I asked for a call and they accepted it, but then they didn't say yes. I would say you're a stranger on the internet. They're waiting to see if this shakes out. Like, are you really serious? Because if you're really serious about it, then that proves to them that they're having a guess. The verdict's out on if you really are as impressive as you look on your LinkedIn profile. If they accept your message, it's not really their job to go, that's just like a little token of faith. It's not really their job to like full on respond and give you availability. If they do, amazing. But it's your job to send them a note that says that you researched the job description, going back to the email, provide 3 to 5 examples of that are really connected and relevant of what she's done and how that's relevant to what they need, and really tying in those relevant accomplishments. So I'll read out if it's not too insufferable. I think it's worth it. I'm going to read out the example of what she sent in this follow-up message. By the way, let's remember again that this got her 6 interviews in 3 weeks. Don't we all want that? Seriously. Seriously. So she said, I was researching the vice president of customer success role on your team. This might not have been her. It might have been he just gave a different example. So I was researching the vice president of customer success role on your team. Your search for someone who has worked on X and Y for ABC company caught my attention. Over the past 5.5 years, 5.5 years, I have been entrusted with building, developing, and leading teams of up to 8 CSMs, managing over 25 million in ARR. That's a key statistic that, like KPI specifically for CSMs, growing ARR by 17 YOY, like year over year, through implementing effective upselling strategies. She italicized that because upselling strategies are really important for like a senior CSM to be able to understand and implement, and developed a deep understanding of our features and benefits and leverage this knowledge to articulate the platform's values to customers and drive adoption. Another bullet point. There's 6 bullet points here. All of these are really resume bullet points, like increased NPS rates up to 9.7, up from 8.1 in parentheses. So you want to give those. I really like how, sometimes in the messages that I've sent, I've like, why don't we do like 3 bullet points? But if you really do have like 6 bullet points with highly relevant accomplishments to the role, this is kind of encouraging me to see like, why not include them? It just shows that you are the real deal, the real deal, the real deal, like times 6. And then the example closes with, would you be open to chatting at any of the times below to see if there might be some synergies for us to work together? I have some feelings about the word synergies. That's like
I
too
do as
corporate for
well.
me, dog. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
You lost me on that. That triggers some PTSD from consulting. Oh, this also has a typo in it. Then no caps on the next sentence. Sorry, I'm really obsessed with this like high status, low, high error
Well, it's
situation.
reminding me of when I just remember in my corporate days being so stressed about sending the perfect email, especially when I was reaching out to high level executives in the organizations I was trying to contact. And then they just respond with, yeah, 8 a.m. I'm free tomorrow. Or like when I'm trying to get a meeting with them. So simple. So just, this is bringing me back to that as well. So I think it is, like you're saying, a status thing.
I'm so insecure about this. I need to like stare at a wall for a couple hours and figure out my strategy moving forward. Notice I use the word moving forward because I'm slipping back into corporate. But anyway, so following or finishing this out, and let's see if there might be some synergies for us to work together. Presume you have a busy schedule and I am willing to maybe it's I presume you have a busy schedule and I'm willing to accommodate your availability. I'm aware that we do not know each other. However, I figured I would still inquire. Date time option 1, 2, and 3.
This is so important. The date time options. That is so make it as easy as possible for them to respond. And the whole scheduling and coordinating, people do not like doing that.
Wait, as our Oracle sales girly extraordinaire, like before joining the
Mhm.
cult career. I really need more of your commentary on all of this because you know what's up. You know what's up
Yeah.
totally with,
No.
because it's all sales. Like
Mhm.
if you're applying to jobs, you are selling a solution that is yourself. Hopefully, you are
Mhm.
actually the solution.
Mhm.
You got to figure out how you are. But let's move on to week 3 where she scores big, shall we?
Yes.
Okay, week 3, May 26th. This is so recent. She went on 6 interviews. What's up, girl? We are
That's so
like
cool.
I'm clapping in the stands. This is amazing. So the total metrics rounding out is she sent 7, well, it says over 70 messages in total. Okay. Well, let's call it 70. She received a 35% response rate, which is about 24 responses from those 70 messages. And from those 24 responses, 6 turned into interviews.
That's
So
good.
that's from 70 to 6, if I remember the math I did while I was at the happy hour. I think it's 8%. Um, and yeah, so I thought, wow, that like 8%, like I said, contrasted to, first off, these job opportunities are probably much higher quality. So those 6 interviews that she lands versus the one that she might have landed at best, potentially 0 statistically from just cold applying, those jobs are not equal. When most likely the only people that end up winning and getting selected from a cold application is the people who are willing to undersell themselves because they've like thrown their hat in the ring and they've already been a senior project manager and they're applying for another senior project manager role. There's always someone who's willing to undersell themselves, okay?
Mhm.
But when you show that you are made of different kind of stuff and you directly skip the line and go to the decision maker who usually only gets to see like the final candidates that the recruiter has filtered out, you are getting to make a leap. You are usually getting the social credit that's required and the clout and preferential treatment that would set you up to be able to get a real promotion in this next job, not just a lateral move. Anything to say on that, Audrey?
I'm just thinking about how so often in our current jobs, people get really kind of spicy about doing things that are outside of their job description. But this is exactly why having those opportunities to take on an extra project, if you're not spreading yourself too thin and working with excellence every single day and not doing the I don't want to call it typical, but it feels typical in corporate America. Like only do 60% because once you show them you're 100, that's what they're going to expect all the time.
Oh my
No, 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 no.
gosh.
Yeah,
Is that
squash.
first off, is that person ever really going to be a manager? Second off, when
Mhm.
they're if they ever get to be a manager, I want to say like karma, lol. Like you're gonna hate the employees that acted like that.
Yeah. And how are you ever going to get that promotion or that not even the promotion in your direct line, but move to another job that isn't just a lateral move if you haven't already done the experience that they're looking for? The way that you can do that experience is by taking it on, having an idea of where you want to go, find that experience in your current role, and beyond your current role, take it on now so you have that to speak to when you are sending these messages in 3, 6 months, 1 year, whenever you're looking to make that move.
You're a real one, Audrey Bagaris. Also, I need to make a public apology. I realize that some Christians in our audience might really be hung up on the fact that I just said karma. Okay, listen, I don't actually, I'm a real Christian. I don't actually believe in karma, but like, what's a word for that that's like that concept, what goes around
Yeah.
comes around?
Yeah.
Kind of. I mean, by the grace of God, not always. By the grace of God, He doesn't give me. Oh, sorry, now I feel like I have to share the gospel because I know that, Jesus Christ transcended karma.
Yeah.
He's like, bro, if you got what you deserved, you need me.
So
So,
true.
but you know what I mean. Okay, you know what I
Yes.
mean.
Yes, we hear you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Mm.
I think I'm feeling a little trigger shy this week because I jokingly was showing my coaster collection to a group call with, like, in the mastermind I'm a part of with a bunch of other Christians. And one of my, like, hand knit coasters that are all funky colors has like a yin yang sign on it. And
Mm.
literally the call erupted with, Kelsey, why do you have a yin yang sign in your house? And I was like, oh, I didn't know that was a big deal. Oh my gosh, I thought it was just decorative and I didn't know. And I was like, do I have to throw it away? And everybody was like, yeah, you have to throw it away. And I was like,
Oh my
sorry, I had a
goodness.
little like gang up moment and I'm still feeling tender about it.
No, I would too. Wait, now I'm questioning everything I have.
I know. We'll have a call later to audit our houses and see if we
Yeah,
need
we'll
to
cleanse.
toss and bless. Okay, so takeaways. The video is going to be terrible, actually, by the way. I just realized I'm looking to the side the entire time. So, takeaways. Update your resume, make it relevant. Optimize your LinkedIn profile, also make it relevant.
Oh, and can I cut in and say resume and LinkedIn, same information. Don't make it too
don't
difficult on
stress.
yourself. Just copy and paste it from resume to LinkedIn. Super easy. That is good. Good, consistent professional brand.
Thank you so much for making that simple. Yes. Okay. Then step 3, identify the relevant jobs that you're interested in. Find 3 to 5 hiring managers / recruiters for each job and recruiters. So that's 6 to 10 per job total. Outreach messages, send them unique messages connecting what they need to what you do. The best part is she did not spend 100 hours applying. In fact, she did not spend any time applying. Instead, she spent about 30 hours carefully curating a list of people she wanted to reach out to, then carefully crafted a unique message to each one. By the way, I'm pretty willing to bet it wasn't a unique message to each one. I think it was like probably 2 templates. Like, hey, recruiter, hey, hiring manager. So just to make that more simple for you, and 100%, I know that you could do the same. Yours in abundance, Gaurav Valani. My hero. I love this guy so much. He's such an OG.
We are big fans of him over here. I'm comparing him to the fandom we have for Jordan Rayner.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. He's a real one. He helps professionals in tech, by the way, if anybody wants to reach out to him, who are senior level looking to secure a next role, already having a decent amount of experience in tech. Well, at least 5 years of professional experience. I don't think it directly has to be in tech. To land a job in tech for 2 to 500K total comp, sometimes more. So really, really impressive stuff. We serve different niches. And so if that applies to you, well, reach out to him. Second off, if it doesn't apply to you, but you still want these general, like, amazing case studies that he does, go to his website, careersprout.com, read his free book. I've loved it. It's like a Google Drive. It's really easy to skim through. Get his templates and subscribe to his email list so you get more case studies like this. And follow him on LinkedIn and say, Kelsey sent you, because we're pals. All right. Audrey, anything else, or is that the grand finale?
I think that's the grand finale.
Sweet.
Yeah, I think that's all.
Okay, be blessed. Yours in abundance, Kelsey and Audrey. See ya.
Perfect. Bye.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. To get an even more meaningful head start into your calling, head to thecalledcareer.com, where my fellow career coach Audrey and I have created a whole suite of free resources and tools to help you get clear and get a job today. For those who are definitely ready to land a job or start a business in the next 6 to 12 months, we're here to help you biblically and practically discern your calling through coaching, reflection, and deep market research. Identify the job that's aligned with it, even if you currently have no idea what you want. Rebrand your resume and LinkedIn to translate your background to appeal to your future boss. P.S. We take this off your plate and do this for you. Also, we'll teach you how to land referrals and get attention from leadership through networking. Again, if that makes you nervous, we have these emails and LinkedIn messages literally written for you so you don't have to sweat. We're also here to give you unlimited interview practice so you're prepared to address every elephant in the room and knock selling yourself out of the park. Then we'll round out with helping you negotiate your salary so you land thousands more. Just so you know, recent clients have gotten $8,000 to $50,000 salary increases, even though they were totally non-traditional candidates. That's because we specialize in helping non-traditional career pivoters land jobs they're ecstatic to serve in. It takes work, but we're here to see you through until the end, when we're celebrating that day that you send me an email in all caps and you say, Kelsey, I got the job. Then you could be on the podcast. But I'll be here until then, keeping you accountable and encouraged by meeting with you literally until you land the job you want, even if that's up to 6 months from now within our program. Apply to join at thecalledcareer.com, and I'll see you next week here at Answer the Call. Bye for now.